Sub Swoosh, Sub Peach. Just chilling. Gonna start it up soon. Probably gonna go talk about a few things first and draw it out, and then we'll get into the VOD and just talk about the defensive side mostly, because I feel like that's probably the most complex part of Haven that gets kind of oversimplified. Hate Cypher on this map. He's kind of limited by his kit right now. Which we can kind of talk about as well, why the trips are pretty easy to counter right now. Up in W. Trying to watch this back to get a feel for what exactly happened again, at least from the feed. Up Drew. Up Goblins of Nathan. The bottom. Educational Valorant content. Yeah, we'll make sure to make it more educational than ranty. The blue. Thoughts on KO versus Sky? I think KO could be good. I just like Sky for the passive info more, which we can talk about as well. But these are like the main like map controlled knives for attack, like these two pretty much. That's more about right, but I think it's really good for taking garage control of KO. The flashes are still good. Molly's good for post plant. Ult's always good to go into sites like Neptune showed. I just think for Sky, it's a lot better for how I like to play the map to be able to, like, let's say you're on defense, being able to flash down mid like this at any time, being able to have a second drone across the map, being able to flash out garage at any time to get info. Basically, being able to get info with the flashes at any time is pretty handy, I think, with low risk, high value. Why does EU keep trying to force Omen split? I think they like the double dash paranoia stuff a lot. Subtenant. Yeah, I think Sky's kit still probably has better value than KO. I think you can definitely make KO work like NRG does. But for how I like to play the defensive side of the map, at least, I think Sky provides more value. And I think also on attack, being able to like have two sets of defaulters, right? So like you dog garage and drone A at the same time and take both of these map controls at the same time is pretty strong. Who do I think is looking the strongest in NA so far? I'd say C9 and V1. If I had to pick like which two teams I think would qualify like today to go to Masters, it'd be those two. But I think V1 could still get tested more, probably. The better teams they play is the real test for them. Guy's main drawback is lack of stopping power. I think the thing is, though, if you're playing Sky, you're not playing for stopping power to begin with on Haven. You're playing for information. Which we'll just get started here and get into it. So, first, I wanted to kind of break down why Haven's more complex than just the 3 bomb site aspect. And I think it's kind of oversimplified fairly often. So, we're going to talk about from a defender standpoint, right? So, there's 1 choke, 2 chokes, 3 chokes. Numbers gonna look shitty, but whatever. 4, 5. So we already have this threat, right? Or this issue that poses a threat, rather, that we have so many chokes to deal with, so many areas of interest, yet we only have 5 people defend it, right? And obviously, you could just go one by one by one by one in theory to try to cover these areas off, but at any point, an attacker can have, 3 people defaulting one of these areas that you have one person, which you're just going to get steamrolled like 10 out of 10 times pretty much. So then it becomes a matter of, okay, how can we spread our numbers and make this map more simplified? And I think that's the main thing with Haven, is trying to simplify this down rather than thinking about it solely as 3 bomb sites. So the way I think of it is dividing it up into 2 halves, right? Okay, so now we have our 2 halves, and the way that I like to think about if you're ahead on Haven is most of the time you want to have 3 people stacked towards the side that you think the hit is most likely going to come in from, whether that's from map control or passive info or read you have on the team. And we can kind of break down how that works, right? So let's say we're going to start off with a round where it's like super simple. We have Sova, Jet A, Sova's going to dart lobby, get this Jet who's opping on the line, and then let's just say we're running like a basic comp. So we have Killjoy, Astra. I'll just do like an NV sub to make it really easy from when we did. So most of the time you're going to have like alarm bot. Either there's a bunch of different subs you could do. You could do it in garage. You could do it front B. We'll make it easier. We'll say it's front B so we have a bit more coverage. And then this turret's going to watch CA and garage at the same time. So off the start here, we have pretty good, like, we're just focused on extremities, right? We're leaving the middle of the map fairly open, but we do have coverage because we have alarm bot and B, so that's covering that. Maybe Sky flashes down mid at the start so he can figure out, okay, which side do I need to be on? And then this turret's going to cover garage and help us with the C walk up. So what happens here is, let's say no one's contesting this A line, right? So Dart goes away, Jet's on the A line, and then Sova's going to leave them, obviously, because they just have this line, which is early info. Someone's actually going to come back and hit A. So if we want to, at this point, I think of it kind of as sliding, because I still see a lot of teams in pro play that, let me erase this actually. A lot of teams in pro play are going to rotate through spawn. Not a lot of pro teams, but I still see it in pro play. And the issue is rotating through spawn. One, it eliminates the noise factor, but in this round in particular, like, the Jet is already opping, so no one can hear your noise profile from short, right? And the other issue is, if this guy takes this amount of time, which I think is 12 seconds, pretty sure, from that amount of time to rotate from ACT all the way to C so we can get the C stack going ahead of time because we have the A line. We'll just say Sky flashed down mid and heard like one ping here, so maybe they're doing like a C split. That's our theory. Now the issue is, if you rotate all the way through spawn, that's like 12 seconds, whereas this is like a 4-second rotation if you just go A spawn to C link. And then this is like, from here to here, this is like 5 seconds, I think. So if we just, instead of thinking about it of, okay, this guy is going to rotate all the way from A, I just think of it as shifting. You're shifting your defense. And if we go back to that principle we talked about earlier, where we want 3 people on the right side of the map, since we're giving up the middle, it's better to have our Sky to shift over and our Sova to shift here, just because we're saving seconds on rotation, which does help a lot, because 3 to 4 seconds can make a pretty big difference if you're trying to get in with an exec. And then, since our Sky is now shifted on the right side of our map, Jet still has the line at A, so we have this early info. Sova's here, so again, he could do the same rotation, either to A as a fast rotate to help Jet if they start taking A lobby again, or he can go back to C. So we've cut down rotation time, we have better information, and we're still stacked on this side of the map, because at any point, Sky could like redog mid to clear that. He can flash C long for these guys to get better info, or he can just stack 3C at the same time. B main could have been pushed by Tias to not make it too dangerous to cross B and front side to go C. I think it's still better because there's two angles you have to worry about, right, when you're crossing. So let me erase a bunch of this first. So when you're rotating through B, right, you have to worry about this angle, and then this is like the other common angle, right? So if you clear those two, unless someone's hiding passive, which we still have the alarm bot here, so if they try to lurk on you when you rotate, you're still going to get that info. But I still think it's better to cut down on rotation time ahead of time, and plus you can still do stuff like flashing down mid at the start of the round to get info if they're defaulting mid. Because I still think cutting down on rotation time is way better. Plus, that's still good info, right? Like, if you're crossing and there is a guy peeking you in bunny or a guy's peeking you bomb mid, that's just more information for you to add on top of what you already have. Besides, like, the fact that we have the A line, maybe someone peeks C long at the start of the round. There's a bunch of different factors, obviously, but it's just more information for you rather than you're just blindly rotating through spawn with not much information off that. So even though it's safer, I don't think it's better by any margin. Why can't Cypher do the same? 2 deep trips are better than 1 bot. Well, the thing is, in pro play, which we can just talk about Cypher now, honestly, because Sentinels are running him on this map. So the issue with Cypher is these are like the common trips to implement the same thing that we just had with that Killjoy setup, right? Issue is people have shock lineups from here for okay, why did I do that? From here for this one, here for that one. You can also spam this one in garage if you walk out mid. You just spam the box like that. So that's one of the main issues with Cypher. I do think there's other things that you can use them for, even though those are kind of exploited. But if you're a team that's going at from the concept I just talked about, where we're trying to divide this up into like 2 halves, and you're trying to get like a 3-2 setup going, and you're always trying to have 3 on the side they're going to hit, then it gets a little bit harder, because if you're constantly getting your ship broken in mid, then you have to float towards the mid of the map more. Oh, and the other thing we should talk about as well is like why it's okay to leave B open early most of the time, which teams will exploit this, right, if you constantly do it. But at least for attackers, most of the time B post plan's pretty shitty, right? Because unless you have like really good lurk set up ahead of time, people can like press on you from here, people can press from here, or obviously people can come in from the links. People can, if you don't take garage control, can come in from here. So you just get boxed in really early, and again, there's not many great spots to play post plant on B itself, because you can get compacted on from so many areas. So that's why teams aren't too scared of you hitting B early, even if you are trying to outread them. It's better just to play for these extremities, get like these deep lines, get information on that, be set up towards a lot of teams like running garage splits now is kind of like a common thing you might see in these VCT matches, because they are pretty powerful unless you have like 3 people stacked here ahead of time. But that's why Cypher's not always used that much anymore over Killjoy. Astra has some play into that as well, but there's just a lot of counterplay to all the trips that you normally put towards the middle of the map, whereas at least with the alarm bot, you could put one here, 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 here. You can have a turret watching this, you have a turret watching this. Like, there's just a lot more stuff you can do that makes it harder for the attackers to break it currently. Yo, what's up, Boa? Haircut's looking sharp, thanks. But yeah. Oh yeah, Boa, I'm trying to get into your VOD review territory now, so gotta keep up with the V1 videos. Let's see what everyone else said. Yeah, Dapper placed that trip at, was it long A, and I think Poise just walked under it. Yeah, you can spam the B trip too, depending on which one you do. There's one that connects off this box here. I think Dapper did this one a few times, but I can't remember. Yeah. Wait, it wouldn't have been Poise. Why was I thinking Poise? Poise playing optics. That doesn't make any sense. Who walked under it? Was it? Oh, it was Android that walked under it. What about Chamber being used on Haven? I think it's pretty good as well, but the one trade that I like is, so like let's say you run a setup like this on B, right, where you have the alarm bot here and you're just gonna have the turret watching garage and C at the same time. I think it's pretty strong to, like, for jets dashing into sight, being able to double molly this to make those jets not be able just to sit in their smoke the entire time while the rest of their team scales. Forces them out. Same thing with B. If you were just to double molly like this, denies this area instantly, allows you a bit more time for your link players to get in rotation here. So I think Chamber you could combo stuff, but I like the ult and the util on Killjoy a lot more, and I don't know if there's any that sick of like TPs really. You could do stuff where you try to play like for one in A site and get out or something like that, but I think generally Killjoy's better. You could do a setup actually probably right where you like walk down into cubby and then have a TP here. That could be kind of interesting, but I think Killjoy's probably more consistent value. Yeah, Booba mollies. What is this? 13-0. Yeah, that's a weird ass comp. I gotta say that. Is there anything else I want to talk about for defense? Talked about the 3-2 rule, sliding over. I guess the other main thing is, so this map is a lot harder to get information because when we think about it in terms of map control for both attackers and defenders, there's kind of like these areas really that you can take map control, like consistent map control that actually gives you good information. So that makes it a lot harder as a defender because you become a lot more limited into the positions you can put people into, you know, hear rotations, get kills and get out. So I think that's why one, you see double initiator a lot, is because you need a lot of passive info without a lot of risk. So that's kind of why it stems from that as well, because it's really easy as a defender to get punished for playing like here, here, even here. You see a lot of teams are trying to play up close to A lobbies, so that's why a lot of defenders are going to be focusing on these areas a lot and not focusing so much on like walking down C, walking down mid as much. You're going to see it sometimes, but that's not like the majority of their game plan. Is this what practices are like? Not really, because I feel like most of the time in practice you're just going over like a few strats probably, and you might pull this out, but you're probably doing it in a server. What's up, Oni? I think KO is more viable on some maps like Breeze and Ascent, but I think Sky is pretty good for passive info, which, like, I talked about this earlier, but being able to flash down here on the fence, being able to flash down C, yeah, like anyone that's holding passive here, like an Astra, being able to flash out garage mid round, being able to re-clear anything with dog at any time, those are all really important aspects. And a lot of the times with KO, you're going to get teams that are going to deny like a lobby control and window control early with this knife. But I think that's pretty counterable overall. And you get really good info from it, of course, if people get tagged, but I think teams need to, against KOs, at least what I think is teams should be defaulting more towards garage probably to start and then re-clearing A after. And you'd probably get people really pushed up that you can punish, but that's just my theory at least. Triple Initiator's the new meta? Nah, that's a little bit too cap, I think. We're not going to run the Liquid Breeze comp. I think KO's better on Sky, or better than Sky on Breeze, because the knife being able to tame the Viper is pretty strong in the positions they play. Being able to negate any Viper util, being able to right click a flash through your own wall, I think those are all pretty strong. Yo, what's up, Immy? Got the V1 Masterclass himself. Yeah, it helps when you guys have Zelsis being an absolute animal on KO as well, so. Okay, let's get into the VOD, and then there'll probably be more things we can talk about as we go. And we got the 3 heads casting this one as well. So one thing I forgot to mention when we were when we were watching this live is Sam is gonna send his own jet smoke here to dodge Shaz's dart. So it looks like Shaz, like from his perspective, people thought he threw, but it's just because they dodged the ping on the dart, so he thought it was clear. And when you jet smoke lobby as well, I saw one team, I can't remember who did it, but they did an Astra smoke like this, and you could see the lip sticking out, so the person at long suspected it, but with their smoke, Shaz has no line of sight on, so he just thinks it's clear. And jet smoke from that distance is kind of quiet to hear. And then besides that, like, Sentinels were just trying to do a mid walk down, which got canceled by a dart, so.
The orb pickup gets caught completely out in the open. That feels to me like a little bit of an anti-strat, perhaps. Shaz loves going for that orb.
I say it's passive red shot in terms of you aren't risking your actual like body or health to get that information. When I think of like active information, I think of, you know, like someone walking down C or some shit as getting active info. The resolution's kind of shit. Oh yeah, so one thing I was going to talk about was Sentinels as well. So I felt like at least around first strike, they were the team that was ahead of everyone else on this map in terms of how to play it, in terms of the things I was talking about, you know, leaving certain areas of the map open, but you have like trips or turrets or stuff like that to cover it. The one thing they do a lot differently than teams was forever they used to just have Zoms sit in this corner and he would just be this hard anchor, right? Which now him and Dapper kind of split that responsibility, but their main thing is they try to get into the site ahead of time. So they're constantly rotating hard off noise. And before Sick would like molly out, you know, like C long, he had one for A short to try to get everyone in time. And they tried to do that now with Sky as well, where they're trying to like flash over the roof and shit to get people in. I don't think this style works as much, and I think teams really exploit it. I think NRG had pretty good reads and calling in terms of that as well, because I thought they really sold a lot of fakes and were able to walk in versus Sentinels, which hopefully we'll get to see as well. 4v3, they know they're in kind of shitty post plant positions though, so that's why they're doubled up logs here, because they want to fight at least one person grouped up. Mayan safe live space. You need Jesus, man. You actually need Jesus. I think I got gifted a sub to Maya because I opened it when you were talking about it. Make a shit ton of noise A and go C. I mean, that's what's happened a lot in the past, and you're gonna see NRG do it as well, because they really like trying to flood into sites, and they have someone like Zoms or someone like Dapper that's gonna be stalling hard with their util, popping cages. They have trips, and they're just trying to hold on for dear life while everyone gets in. But like I said, I think that style has gone pretty red at this point. So is this the flash that I was talking about earlier that gives you pretty good info on like hay bale and mid if they're defaulting that? So that sets them up pretty easy for like how long they can actually hold this angle for. And just so you can like, Tens is ready for that as well, that they're going to be peeking from that side. KO is a bit different because I think there's probably some knives you could do for that area, but most of the time you'd be contesting a lobby. Buddy, you're a tier 3? Bro, I don't have that money for tier 3s. The fuck you think I am? Fast farming orb on A still good. I mean, Sova ult's always good to have. If you look at their comp, who would you rather have it stacked on? I mean, I think Sky ult's pretty good for 7 orbs still, especially on Haven defense. But, I mean, I think Sova ult's probably their most consistent value ult. It helps too because they're not playing against a Killjoy, so that means they can use it freely. They don't have to try to counter ults only. I don't think the no KO thing matters on this map. I'm not super big on the Cypher as much, but I can kind of talk about it later. Some things I think they could try. I think Dapper like does some of them in the map though. In the later rounds they switch it up, so skip through this. I think it's a yeah, they just retake garage together. I had to work through mid, so now we get to the gun round. So I'll try to focus on like the rotations from Sen this round defense, right?
Quite a lot in terms of the pre-match narratives around his performance at Champions, etc. I thought his Champs performance looked pretty good. For a flex player, he gets a lot of first bloods, and on Astra on the first map, he was -2 in first blood.
Okay, so let's just talk about their setup to begin, right? So again, they're going to focus on leaving middle of the map open. They have this cam here that sees garage lane, and if they walk up C long at the same time, he's just got a trip and double cages to play off of. Zom's just kind of floating in the middle here. These guys, unless like we talked about, Sentinels are in position to try to flood the site, they're just going to probably trying to be a retake at the start here if there's like a fast garage hit into a C hit or something like that. And then Zoms can kind of just watch front B while this cam's on. And then these guys are just going to be really heavy A lobby control. Probably just going to get like a dart, maybe a dog from short or a flash. There's the flash, so they know someone's down short already. These guys got knifed at long. Yeah, and 10's is kind of fucked here because no one can really get him out. Besides Zoms. Zoms is the only one that could do anything because these guys, I think, got hit by a knife. And you see 10's did too. Doesn't matter though because NRG are just going to reset here. So this is one of those things where they heard, let's see, they got flash, got smoke, guys used dart, so they know pretty heavy here already. The knife got the tag too as well, so that's also info. So they're just gonna send this all the way around. And like Brent just mentioned, Shaz cleared through short, so they know this is set here. This is all clear. They went somewhere else. Since it's a bonus round, they might be trying to do a fast hit off of that information they got at A. And you're going to see these guys just book it through spawn. And they're not in position fast enough, so Dapper's just popping the cages, try to get him here. But now these guys are all here, so maybe they can try to get a fast retake before everyone else rotate off of A. But they're just getting kind of stalled out. Dog to re-clear garage. This is the value of Sky. You can re-clear all of this shit at any time. And now they're just in a good spot to re-pincer the site here off the spawn guys and the garage guys. I think 10's just spams this guy through a smoke. I think it's Zach clipped the ECK.
Serious lineup though, bit of a mistake from Sentinels as they
I don't think Cypher's obsolete on every map. I think he's still pretty good on Split and Breeze. Maybe Fracture. I think Fracture still, we're still yet to see what that meta comp might be, but
it's pretty good. They're trying to combo a flash and a recon dart for the retake. And then it's this sightline that allows Tens to be able
but I feel like Chamber or Killjoy in a lot of maps probably provides more value.
Playing the long angle goes for a peek. Having said that, the macro
Okay, again, so we got a trip here, so they can leave this open. Dapper loves camming down the long C for early info, so he's probably doing that here. There's a cam. Tens is right here to like swing if they break this cam. Gets a deep trip down. And let's see, did they shock that or did they? Yeah, they shocked it. So this is the issue of Cypher, I think at least, is like this garage trip is just really shitty and gets broken easily. So now they got the C long set up, which is good. So now they can focus more on this trip that just got broken, right? Because they have trip and cam here. So they can kind of forget about this part of the map. And now these are kind of like their two halves that they're trying to focus on. City squares, but you get the point.
He's got a good understanding of how Sentinels plays, which he should do. He's IGL'd against them before. Looks like Sentinels want to take an early fight here towards Garage, stuck in the corner a little bit. Tens wastes a few knives.
Yeah, committing the bodies to just try and hold down Garage. You saw the early shock dart, just getting rid
Came it long, just saw a hazed here.
had laid down.
Gonna redrone A.
Glimpse of some. He has to be concerned of this. Comes around the corner, sick. Does get the one, but luckily
You took the bait in lobbies, so Som could get that kill off the drone.
Forward positioning, we see.
And now Android's lurked all the way up. Garage after that trip was broken, Tens left.
Okay, Som just holding, anticipating the jiggle peek over the boxes. What a disgusting shot.
So now they're in a pretty weird spot, at least Sentinels are, because Cam got broken, but the trip stayed up at long, so they know that's safe. But Garage, they don't have any info. They don't have any info short. They don't have any info long. They didn't have any info bomb mid because Zom's is just in back sight. So now there's a lot of lurks going on because Android was able to lurk through here. Tex is kind of walking through B at the same time. So there's a few different things going on now that the mid rounds opened up.
And Zoms is watching this. As Tex lurks in, Zoms has got it. He might have been playing an RTS for the rest of the round.
But yeah, they're so worried about A because this guy was trying to walk A link. All the A players died, and these guys have just gone into C for free.
It is a 3v3. 30 seconds left. They're going to have control of Cubby. They know that there's a trip there too. And here it goes. A bit of a scramble from Sentinels as they realize that they've been done once more. The spike is down and post-plant positions being gained here for NRG.
Jump peek is worth it behind default on A.
Honestly sold them on that being a bit of an A hit.
They're kind of in a rough position otherwise for info.
Down.
I think in pro play it's a lot harder just because people are so cracked, but
You can see Tens trying to once again take the lead for his team playing inside the smoke. You have to be cautious of this.
I don't think Shaz had any util, so he was kind of relying on that.
In this scenario, good stun off into the corner. Som just about dodges in. He taps the spike.
Oh, this one was super close, right? We looked to where they planted like off to the side or some shit, I remember.
Honestly,
from Sentinels as they realize they know that there's a trip there too. And here it goes. A bit of a scramble from Sentinels as they
Yeah, it's like playing off to the right a bit, which is kind of weird. Just makes it really awkward to spam this guy, I think at least.
about dodges in. He taps the spike. Have the information though. Now they're knowledgeable about it. Soms, what a pick for him. Soms being taken out is great, and they're just sticking the defuse. Not enough for them. It's going to be a win for Sentinels despite Hayes eventually picking up the kills.
Yeah, that is a bold play, but lovely smokes and utility in general from Zoms. He comes into that retake important because it makes him kill Som when he goes for the swing for an advantage. And NRG have to take an eco.
Okay, so pretty heavy ASAP again. They're trying to get Tens in this bottom right spot by bricks again. We middle of the map open. They have like a double. Okay, just change the resolution for no reason, YouTube. Double trip C so they can try to hold back sight if there is a C hit. Same kind of cam we saw a few rounds ago. So,
Looks a little quick here.
and they're just focusing on garage really off.
Top of the jet.
And they're just leaving B. Now it's sick because they got him on the A line A. I think they darted and flashed too. Yeah, flash so they know they're outside A lobby. So you can rotate, pick a B for these guys, dog down mid, get info there.
Pressure's on right now. That dog, I believe, is going to catch.
Guys just droned all the way up A long.
So they know that. Okay, well.
So now he can probably start shifting out because he's got 10s the line eventually. They're still worried about short in case someone timinged. Is the only thing though.
Pressure on Dapper here. He's able to shut this down. What it
Because
looks like.
Tens was smoked off, or Cade, yeah, smoked off.
Pop flash, perhaps, from
Yeah,
Tex.
thrown and following it in. Okay. Nappa needs to get something. The right click does not work out for them still. Be the kill for them. Luckily,
And
Zombs
here
is
comes the
back.
heavy
They have
rotate.
to get
Zombs can't get in time, or wasn't in, so.
Any more guns. And the Seeker's using a response. Sentinel's going to try and push off the back of these. You can see the shock dart on top of it, just trying to drop this flat.
Yeah, this was kind of weird because they used Seeker super early, but no one was really ready to go off with them.
Push off the back of these. You can see the shock dart on top of it, just trying
Like,
to
Zombs doesn't even get to place down all of his shit yet.
It looked a bit discombobulated, and now we see the Hunter's Fury on top of it. Cosmic Divide from Sentinels. They want to try and retake this one, or look at that! Jazz is going to be falling, pushing through the wall just to try and offset this one. Sick with 2, EU finding it still.
And EU gets kind of owned here because he can't tell if he's on there or not, but.
This one, and I think he's unaware. Indeed, Zombs already pushed forwards. He didn't know if he was on the spike and tapped or not.
But yeah, you're gonna see Sentinels do this a lot, like this heavy arch rotate from A to C, try to get in early, try to disrupt the plant.
Information is going to be denied from NRG. Getting scary. That was an eco round from NRG, and they were almost able to take it away. Something that's used to play pretty solidly towards Garage. He is going to play there this round. But a lot of the time.
Okay, double trips Garage. They could flash out here early, which he's gonna do to get info. But did they dodge that, or what happened?
Oh, now this is
So far in this half, in the first 6 rounds, he's been playing over on the A side.
This flash went in the corner, so doing like catch A1. But Sentinel's got the A line. They can see the lines from the KO ult coming in. Yeah, and the Cypher util's turned off, so they don't have to worry about that.
They hear that. Yeah, you can see them aware of this. Flash comes through. TP'do to swing from Som. Gets the one, and luckily
Flashing at garage windows always really strong for retaking garage, especially if Sky just blinds anyone under window or like holding back. The only way to really counter is if you have someone like anti-flash like Som was in lane or outside garage doors.
Trying to play the moves being made here. Swing timing. Well enough. NRG locking that one down.
I think Viper's a lot better on bind than Chamber. I think a lot of the teams that have played Chamber so far could do probably a lot more trap subs, but they're trying to, kind of like we talked about with this map, simplify the amount of areas by just alarm binding and then leaving it open. But I think you could do a lot of trap plays with the slow bots.
Doesn't really get too much. Just a bit of a peek. He's trying to play off Sick.
Yeah, you really cannot allow tens to
So this is kind of like a piss around, but like a bonus round sub where they're just going to leave the extremities open, fight on mid, because Dapper's going to post down along C with his cam. He's got that info. You guys can dart A, and then they're just going to focus on fighting mid with everyone else. They've just cut down the map to focus on it like this.
Doesn't really get too much. Just a bit of a peek. He's trying to play off Sick.
Yeah, you really cannot allow tens to have too much space to.
But you can see the positioning for NRG. They're just holding for every push right now. So they got, you can hold like the mid walk down. They can crossfire garage like this. He's got long C, but also can come back to mid to fight. Tom's got A long, and then Android's got A short. So they've got everything covered here for the first like 30 seconds. And everyone can pretty much help each other at any point because they're so grouped up.
Okay. The slow.
Sick is baiting. The sound bait. He's trying to get EU to swing. He's just making little jumping noises. But the drone comes out. Now Sick is in a very bad position.
Oh, he tries to catch the timing to wallbang. Has to hide just behind the steps.
Yeah, I forgot Sick somehow fucking doesn't die here, but you guys had a pretty good read.
At least for now. The back of this though, it's a quick pivot. NRG immediately going to be taking A. Plan comes through in a very unconventional location there, just into the back corner. Disruption in play here, and it's going to be the 5v5. What? A shot from tens. Swinging off the top, and the smoke was just a little bit too late. He's able to find that angle.
Recon that position is going to be crushing everybody playing off-site here. Smoked off. Could get some easy kills. Smoke dissipates though for the moment.
One's taking it out.
Sentinels taking space.
They know two of the players that are at least back on the side, and they're pushing forward. The swing timing. It's good for Sentinels. They at least trade that
And
one out.
NRG is playing in a really weird plant spot as well. Like off to the side here.
With Hayes still alive, they've got the pull to disrupt the defuse. Now it's just the time to play for exits. Maybe try and walk away with these rifles that they've acquired over the course of the round. Not even going to be able to do that one. A round win here for NRG, keeping hold of 3.
Which it's a bit different because obviously if you plant here, you kind of have to like swing out to the side to peek that. But for them, if you plant here, you can kind of just hold. I drew that really poorly, but you can kind of just hold like this cross like this because they have to cross the bomb. And you're not just going to like smoke. The only thing you would smoke off is long, but you can like dart, blast through it, bunch of different stuff if it's on that side. It's just a good plan to throw out there sometimes to throw people off.
Even close to a couple of those ultimates as well, Josh.
Yeah, Shaz's ult could
Yeah, I thought NRG's mid-rounding was really good.
Having a good time so far. NRG, especially Hazed's IGLing, has been so good at moving them around the map and using the way that Sentinels like to play.
Yeah, so this is where they switched up and put Dapper at A.
Look how the Sentinels are set up here. 2 ready to push B, 2 ready to push on A. Actually, the push on A was not accurate. They just went for a deep trip and a deep cam that's going to give them mid-round information. But Tens and Sick are both posted up in mid.
And it seems like they might be slightly aware of this. I mean, NRG...
See, against the KO, they're not too scared of this, but I feel like against the Sky, I'd be way more scared of a Sky just like pop flashing on window at some point in this round.
And it seems like they might be slightly aware of this. I mean, NRG are just showing them complete respect. I think when you hear the flash into mid, you have to suspect that they might be playing forwards, but Som is just crouched, holding that angle in case somebody peeks out of garage. Sick could get a monstrous timing, and there it is. Scoped up, was not
Oh yeah, this was around. Yeah, so Sick owns them.
The Seekers are popped off as well.
And the Seekers give him all the space he needs.
He gets out, and then doesn't Android break Dapper's cam, and then walks under a trip? Yeah, he's gonna walk into a trip and say...
Android in the meantime, taking some space towards A-Long, is gonna meet this tripwire that Dapper set up, and we called out early on. Can he crouch underneath it? What a mistake from Dapper! That one was hastily put up at the beginning of the round, but it could bite Dapper here.
A bacon?
I mean, there is no chance he's gonna look towards sight.
It's for short. It's for them just pushing through. Yeah, he's unaware.
Major mistake from the Sentinel.
Who do you think was the better team strategically in this match? At least for this map, I thought NRG was ahead. I think when they switched to defense, though, they just couldn't deal with Tens at all. Tens was just the entry monster. Super autofez? Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that is. Avast was talking about it too. I guess I'm just a mega boomer.
Try and deal with Hayes and does so quickly. Now Tens can get the support of his teammate. The IGL just trying to help him out, but EU holds it. He knows where to pre-fire. Quick little jiggle, he knows. Now it's not even on the spike. Shaz, how is he going to win this? Sticks it down to the halfway mark. What a play. What a performance. So down to the wire. 30 health.
Be going either way, honestly. It is ridiculous when you're watching the final takers. Hazed to get you. He's still 3-7 compared to EU's 8-7, but that's...
Okay, Sen's money's pretty shit. They're going to put Dapper at A again.
Dapper is going to start towards A. Probably another deep trip or cam. He's got a cam towards short and the flash out C. Don't see anything towards that C-long area. But Sentinel's money is so bad.
The knife catches him. You know he's off in the side. What a play from NRG. Text is going to go down shortly afterwards, but that trip... Oh my goodness! That is getting a bit precarious. Shaz has to offload off those shock darts, but they know exactly where he's playing.
To banger old.
The Hunter's Fury. Oh, that's magic right there. 2 players, they know that they're low enough. Still Dom just swings out. Someone needs to deal with them. Eventually they do, but the pace injected.
But I think if Sentinels are going to keep playing Cypher on this map, I would probably rather them keep doing the deep cams on A or mid even maybe. There's some that you can do like bomb mid that are pretty good. There's like obviously one out here behind this win box. Or just doing them in the mid round. Dapper's always been really good on this map at like the stuff we've seen where he puts deep trips, even though this guy ducked under one, but the round where he had the one long C, stuff like that, I think is probably better than when he's trying just to play hard anchor. Because I think Sentinels were always at their best on this map when they were just really fucking proactive.
Flash right over. You see Som just tries to take a quick peek. No casualties for either side. A slow.
We can kind of talk about their stack here this round at least.
Spectacular performance against some of the best in North America.
So they dart A lobby, doesn't get broken. These guys are just gonna, or tens mostly, it's just fighting mid early. They can flash out doors, get more mid info. Dappers walk down and cam tier. And since no one broke dart A, and since tens wasn't really seen a whole lot mid, and since tens, or not tens, sick flashed out garage and got info that they're like within this kind of area mostly, that they're probably just going to be going towards C, so we can just gamble C here. Dapper saw him slightly on the cam here, so this means these guys can get even more in. But that's just kind of like the reasoning behind their stack.
Sentinels now probably just going to be crumbling now beneath the weaponry that NRG have.
Yeah, this one is not a round that Sentinels have any right to win. And it looks like we're going to be set up here. Oh, not quite a flawless. Shaz takes one with him, but this is not looking amazing. Sentinels, when they were at their best, when they were the best team, I would argue
from this map, I think it's a bit different because they want Dapper to get tons of info, and he's always been like a really aggressive Sentinel. I think though if he played like Killjoy, him and Zoms could just make an impossible bomb site for people to go into between the Astra and the Killjoy util. But I'm not sure really. I think they really just like the aggressive Cypher stuff, but I think it's just kind of outdated. I think if they played it more with the Killjoy Astra trying to anchor stuff, or Dapper could like have so much cool shit for this map, I'm sure. On Killjoy, because he played it, I swear he's played it once or twice before. But I think between him and Zoms, that would fit a lot more for their style, because then those guys hard anchor, everyone else is floating around, gain info, and then you can always hard rotate into that site if they need help. Then was getting faked. Well, that goes into the hard rotate style I was talking about earlier, where it's pretty easy, at least in the past I've seen this is how teams have taken advantage of them, where they just hard rotate to noise, or if Dapper's shit gets broken, like his cam, they get more worried about that. Or if you give them false info, like you let the dart not get broken or anything in A lobby, and then they heavy rotate off and they try to go C because you're droning garage or you're darting C long or something like that. I think it's a lot easier to fake them with how they want to play their defense. Because I mean, just look at how quick they rotate here off this, off the KO popping. And this could be like a read too as well, but like just look at how quick everyone's here from C side. 6 flash gets nothing in mid. They smoke a window so Dapper can go up fast here, but just look at how fast everyone's at A here.
And Som is already deep onto the side. Tens, he's got to try and lock this down. Just a quick little tag off to the side. He gets the damage in, and he collects the kill onto Som. Just about escaping of his life. The movement is clean from him still. 4v4 now. Sentinels now in a position to try and retake this one. You can see the drone being utilized and the Cosmic Divide to split them up.
Shaz Chamber and triple initiator Sentinels look like. I have no clue how they would even pull that off. I can't see tens playing an initiator in any lifetime.
Again, finding that crazy value.
Tick on KO on some maps. The only map I could see it on for them is probably like Ascent, but they don't like playing Ascent either, so.
We're going again here into a Sentinels timeout.
final round of the half. I mean, this still, you know, the coach of this team is going to be calling the timeouts for them. He said that he wants to mess with teams' heads when he's in this coaching seat when it comes to the time.
Could do is try and swing 10s out in short, because NRG have been playing for that area of the map a ton. Setting up their op down C long would be good.
Envy's best map was Haven. What do you think the biggest factor was for that?
Stays on the angle. That's a great idea for
I think they were ahead of the curve on how to play the map at the start of the year in terms of like dividing this up and leaving spaces open, but also having like passive coverage, whether it's trips or alarm bots or turrets or whatever. I also think in terms of like running this comp, well, not this comp because we had Killjoy, but I think in terms of the stuff we did with like Killjoy and Astra, anchoring sites, having the sky in there to get extra info, like through mid and stuff like that, I think it set a lot of trends for how to play the map. And I think also on attack, being able to like dog one area, drone another area is something that not a lot of teams do enough. We'll see it on the next half, but I saw Sentinels a lot where they're kind of like Sova droning and sky dogging the same area. You can see they just shock darted front B if there's a trip there. Break down the optic match? Probably not. Molly clears the cubby here.
Unlikely to check it. Does this Molly clear 6th position?
I think it might be towards the back of the box, back of the default box.
Yeah, it must be for sight.
You have to clear that. Okay. Sick does get tagged up.
Except this Molly takes a million years to land. Wait, no. Dude, which round was it? I swear there was a round I watched it where it did land in this corner.
Okay, it does clear that close corner just outside garage with the cosmic divide, and this is the bait and switch. Look at the minimap, everybody. The spike all the way on.
Because I thought he had a lineup from the same spot that clears this.
They really have. That astral wall is just,
or I might just be capping. I misremembered it from a different match.
Is so good. Everyone is praised.
But yeah, we can talk about like the fake they ran here too.
He has not been able to anchor that position.
Short.
Yeah, but
conditioning.
But Bren, at least Tens has.
So Dark goes A. Sentinels wanted to play retake anyways because they had Sova already. And Shaz can just play back, but Dart doesn't see anything. They didn't break it, so they can walk up whenever. Tens is just opping mid. They have a trip for garage, so that's covered. Cam sees along. 6 just in the cubby. So Sentinels' plans just play retake A here, and they got all their bases covered, right? Because this is covered with double trips. These guys are playing double B. These guys have a sub C long, and then Shaz can just play retake A. But NRG is going to run this fake here.
How does he get one? Got that straight in there. Actually, the trade is there. Okay, it does clear that close corner just outside.
And since they saw like the Jet, the Sova, and KO, it's pretty likely, especially when it's Chamber and Astra, that those guys might be lurking or they might be putting down stars. So you're not like super concerned if you don't see them. When like the 3 most active roles are all at the spot where the ults are going. Pen just like peeks through the wall and gets the info though ahead of time, so they do know it's a fake, but these guys are so out of position. Guy's drone is from really far back, so he doesn't really get to clear that much or get a tag off.
They're just going to be playing standard post-plant scenarios, and we get down into a 4v4. Zombs does not have any stars to be able to work with, and that's been a key for them.
Yeah, I mean, their Haven hasn't really changed forever. They play it pretty much the same. The only difference is now is the 6th guy gets them a bit more info, but I didn't like. I think it looks good, but I didn't like how they incorporated it into all of their setups. I guess is the best way to put it. Oh, and Dapper gives Sick the Spectre if this was going to be a setup. Sometimes you just don't think about those things. Plus, if you're in a cubby and you're going to get like hard cleared by like 2 or 3 people, you probably want the gun that has better damage output.
things. Of course, this map is going to be continuing.
Okay, interesting.
Half here. NRG.
They're down fast of 5-7 on Haven, one of their historically great maps.
Okay, flash mid to get early info here. This is kind of a similar concept as like the trips and stuff. The alarm bot, slow bots have a really big range, so you can put it all the way back here and you'll see if people walk up like on this angle. B's covered. These guys knife a lobby, which allows the sofa to be somewhere else because this gets pretty good info and coverage.
Gonna require something masterful to get them out of this.
And then they're dogging garage, drawing up C long at the same time. It also seemed like Sick was playing a lot off of his own util. Sentinels were also like the team that loves just going B because they know teams leave it open a lot.
The crossfire is already being set up. NRG, quick to swarm. They're fully aware of this strategy. Employed it once or twice themselves. The pull off to the side, but it seems to be Sentinels the ones who are being picked apart, pulled apart at the seams. The shots rattled off Android.
This is when I was surprised that one person wasn't sticking and everyone else wasn't scaling down mid to help Android fight these guys.
Not able to find his mark with the headhunter, and it is the Sentinels players holding it down still. 2v1. Shaz has got to do unbelievable work. Narrowed it down. It's a 1v1. The shock dart right over the top. What is that? The Red Bull clutch from Shaz. So low.
Plus on how close the competition is now.
That's incredible. What a way to start the
I think there's probably a lot of teams that
Shaz was in a situation again after he picked off
are starting to figure out their personnel issues probably, and then can start out their role issues maybe, which I think is the hardest part for a lot of teams. I still think there's going to be some pretty big outliers in between, like who's the top teams in NA and who isn't, like the top 2 or 3. We'll see though. It feels like there might be a pretty big gap between like the top 2 or 3 teams in NA and everyone else, but Guard versus 100 Thieves. I think Guard might win it. I know people are probably going a little bit higher with their expectations than they should for them, but I think they have the potential to beat 100 Thieves from a game plan level.
Headshot, body shot, takes down Tens, his counterpart on the other team. There's the swing from Sick. Can they trade? Not quite. EU not in a position now, stuck in a 1v4, and Sentinels.
My top 3, probably a C9, V1, and then
incredibly difficult for him to even make damage.
The Bulldog, ADS, not finding it, yeah.
I don't really know who would be my 3rd.
Sentinels, even in it up, 7-7.
Because when I think about the other ones, I'm kind of worried about XSET when they go up against better competition. I think Optic need to bounce back after that game to show they can be at the top, which they can definitely flick that switch again. Rise, I'm still worried about them being inconsistent coming from the qualifiers, but maybe they fix that. I think they would probably be most likely to be top 3 at the second if they fix, or if they are fixed on the consistency issues. I don't know, I felt like NRG was pretty ahead in this game in terms of game plan. Like, I thought NRG was going to 2-0 this map.
Have some kind of set play. It was one of the criticisms of a lot of the North American teams that they didn't have those kind of explosive bonus rounds that we saw help Crew get the comeback at Champions, and X10 beat Envy at the time.
Like I said with X, I need to see what happens when they go up against the top team.
Definitely seems like it.
What V1 signed Anders as? He's the version X coach.
Away to safety. Dash into the smoke just to try and break any potential crossfire placement being going their way. That is the power of the KO flashes, ladies and gentlemen. A quick little peek. Hayes is able to collect that one, and still the spam comes through, and they've already worked their way into the back of the site.
An early fast retake from the garage guys, and then back site guys got more space.
Rapid response from NRG.
Yeah, They don't even let the spike go down. I mean, that pop flash is everything from Tex, but also where was the swing coming through from those C-long players? They absolutely abandoned Tens on the site. Look at Tens here. The dog comes.
Yeah, all the matches this weekend are really good. I'm really excited. I'm gonna be streaming all of them this weekend.
Gorgeous play by Tex. Didn't catch that when it was happening live. I thought that was
Unless something else comes up, should expect streams Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
had the opportunity to. Tens has those. That blade storm on.
Guys apparently say he doesn't like playing chamber.
Tens has those.
Yeah, same kind of setup in garage and B. They can leave these open because of the alarm bots, knife lobby.
Go for another fast, a short push this time for Sentinels.
No dart breakers.
Same kind of play. Recon dart.
The one thing about Cypher that's nice is being able to cage this cross like 2 times per round and deny info
Take that.
versus using the jet smokes.
Actually committed really early to flush out any players holding short.
No one's actually pushing up behind this. They do just about now, though, working their way through.
You'll see Rise do the cage like down here as well, bottom of A long.
Little map control.
It truly does.
Yeah, energy optic should be really good.
See, it was offloaded. I think that ends up making it.
And Android's got really good info C long here. He can just in front of the trip. He has his TP that goes to there if he needs to get out. Which is the power of chamber. And then Hayes is just kind of here because they don't really need 4A because they're not really fully sure what's going on yet. And you don't want to be so far out of position.
Any players holding
Because
spots.
Tex is already here to rotate if they need him.
They're just cutting noise now.
Android
Hayes also has a judge, so he kind of wants to play off the shit. Because if the alarm bot pops, he can suck too.
Utility dump now.
And these guys got 3A here already.
Actually, I think just lays down that nade just so that they can't push deep onto the site. A lot of utility drained out of Sentinels. They weren't able.
And honestly, no one on NRG really needs to move here in this setup. They can all just sit here.
To exec off the back of that.
Because you got such good info for like a C split. The only thing you'd be worried about is if they're hitting B. But again, like we talked about earlier, B post plants, not the greatest. You already have really good positions here to disrupt that B plant. Hayes could hear it too if they're coming up like mid as well. So
Toms is going to have his pull online in 8 seconds. If they combo that with the
then let's redog mid just to see if they can get any info off that.
and there's 3 players here. Time is their biggest enemy. Good coverage. It's going to be low and there's 3 players here.
I think they just felt really awkward about the setup they were in because they wanted to fight short, you can see, but the timing kind of fucked them. But it's kind of hard to come up with a setup for the 3 people they had in the site, like a good crossfire, because A site's already kind of hard to crossfire within itself. But I think they probably could have sat like in a triangle setup like they were, like this maybe.
That is a heads up play. If I've ever seen one, very aware. They don't want to try and allow them to try and regroup and take that one, even with the 2 players remaining.
Really good initiative, very proactive. The Seekers there giving them full information on where everybody was. Obviously, Android still had that trip that he had to break in order to get up on that flank in the first position, but after Dapper died, they had no idea that Android was doing that. So the Seekers there just essentially winning the round out for Sick. Android's so scary in that position. You can see from Shazam's point of view how hard it is to hold a swing from this guy when he just wide peeks you and rips your head off with the Vandal.
I mean, Tens is a good player. Like, there's tons of people that are good mechanically that would just be dog shit at this level and get not many kills. He definitely knows what to look for when he's setting himself up or when they're setting him up.
Somehow he's going to be trying to get out of this one. The damage, though, Tens instantly pushing through Garage, and he's able to shut that one down before it gets messy for them. Surprised he didn't get that kill, but
In JD's world, I haven't watched any Navi yet.
Creeped his way into backside. Could be a
They
difference
were.
maker. No, I don't think so.
Oh yeah, this was the round Tex fucking owned them on the timing, almost got 2.
shut down, but look at this NRG not wasting.
I was surprised he fucking droned here as well.
The tag, I can't believe he uses the drone when he knows that there's a player deep on site, but some.
The line in time.
Okay, eventually shut down, but look at this NRG not wasting.
Thought he got onto the line in time.
Okay.
Difference maker. No, I don't think so.
I don't think they.
Got onto the line in time.
I don't think they had any idea Zoms was actually on site still.
Going for the drone.
The tag, I can't believe he uses the drone when he knows that there's a player deep on site, but somehow it works out. He cancels.
Unless Tex somehow like mini mapped him, but
20 health in a 1v2, and now committing towards it. They don't know where he was.
I thought Tens was going to win that too as well when I was watching it live.
Took advantage of the fact that he could just jiggle peek that with a classic, a quick little right click was all it took, and NRG win it out on the thrifty round.
They are so dangerous on these thrifty rounds, Bren. And it's not just the fact that they have, you know, knives, headhunter, these kind of things, and excellently skilled players. It's the decisions that each of the individuals makes. Tex pushes his way into backside. That would be a bit of a throw on a rifle round, because you're just setting yourself up for an unfavorable position when you could wait for a full team retake. But when you're on an eco, that's the best way of being able to create an advantage, or at least make it even. And he sneaks past Shazam, the smoke...
Talking about why a reflank garage.
Saves it down before it gets messy for them. Surprised he didn't get that kill, but good movement in the end. Saves it.
Texas creeped his way into back.
Shockstar doesn't collide. Somehow he's going to be trying to get out of it.
They're probably worried about one, he's low, so you don't want him exactly just to hold an angle on site. Yo, all the Valorant team people are here. What's up?
Texas creeped his way into backside.
Hope you guys had a good show. Still a little bit of a VOD review. But one, he's low, and then two, Sick died in garage with one of their guns, so they probably wanted him to reflank to make sure no one could like walk out fully with that gun, but too late for that.
Going for the drone?
I can't believe he uses the drone when he knows that there's a player deep on site, but somehow it works out. He cancels it in time. Plant is down.
Yeah, Hayes is the IGL.
And now committing towards it. We don't know where he was. What a swing. Android knew he was low and he could just take advantage of the fact.
Yeah, there's like no way unless someone's back here that they would have seen Tex. Tex just got like the most perfect timing in the world.
So dangerous on these thrifty rounds, Bren. And it's not just the fact that they have, you know, knives, headhunter, these kind of things, and excellently skilled players. It's the decisions that each of the individuals makes. Tex pushes his way into backside. That would be a bit of a throw on a rifle round, because you're just setting yourself...
What do you think makes C9 Blue so good compared to past teams like Envy or Sen? I think C9 always has really good fleshed out setups on defense is like a really big thing, and then they normally have pretty good calling on attack. I want to see if they have improved their attack on some maps, because sometimes it feels a little bit sketchy with how they play it, depending on the map, but I think it's something they can easily address. I think they're a team as well that get along pretty well, and they can just talk out problems pretty easily, kind of like early Sentinels. C9 Blue the best. Well, people are comparing it from their performance at Champions, since they went the deepest and they played extra events after Champions and they won their first match, so against 100 Thieves, which people still kind of rate highly, even though we don't really know where to place that roster, but that's where people's logic kind of comes from.
A lot of discipline being showcased here by Sentinels. See, Shaz is getting ready to use the drone as well. Okay. The time burnt down.
It's pretty hard to say, even if like Sentinels, let's say like Sentinels or Envy made it to playoffs in Champs, it would be kind of hard to say until we reach playoffs for this series. But yeah, this is just the fucking Tens magic takes over here. I'm trying to figure out why Hayes wide swung that as well.
It's going to be the drone destroyed, the pull, and straight into the Hunter's Fury. He's holding these corners still. It's going to be the drone destroyed, the pull through garage now, just to make sure nobody's holding these corners still. It's going to be the drone destroyed.
Maybe he thought since Android was tagged and he TP'd out, they thought they'd be in like in some sort of retake setup, so he thought he could get timing off that. I'm guessing.
We will not be denied the counter Hunter's Fury now. It's going to be EU seeing if he can try and make something happen off the back of it, but I don't know if he caught onto any targets at all.
Fabulous entering though by Tens, isn't it?
Yeah, I think C9 Blue get like the temporary #1 team title in NA for now. Plus all the fucking scrim bucks that people talk about, and that's what people rate as well. So I think they're, in my mind, the #1 team right now. But I also talk to like Vanity a lot, so I'm probably very biased.
Player, but no, the call is made here. They want to try and save their weaponry moving into the next round.
I think if Optic or Sentinels came out and stomped their first series, there would be a lot more to say. because I think people rate, like, I think Rise is a really good team, so if Optic came out and stomped them, that would have been a pretty big statement, but
here, even though they start the round slowly, they don't immediately take any map control.
just have to see what happens at the end of the 5 weeks. Everything could change by then.
Was explosive as soon as Android got tagged. Take a look at this replay. Presumably from
This was insane.
I mean, he just immediately.
Yeah, the thing is, people always, like, love that shit, especially since there's going to be standings for the group stages. People are going to be loving to jerk off, like, who's in the #1 slot or who people think are actually the #1, though their record doesn't show it, or there's going to be so much conversation about stuff like that.
More into the thing that made Sentinels, you know, really feared, I think, last year. That came
Yeah, I think that was, like, peak Rise Zarl during the Optic match. And may not peak, but, like, the best they've looked so far.
In really creative ways. The pace favors them there a little bit, but NRG are quite similar in that regard. They don't mind to go fast when it comes to these rounds.
Exactly the same utility used here from Sentinels.
Don't mind.
I think this was the round where I was kind of confused how much they used.
Being able to adapt on the fly and just take a situation.
They're top short, cam short, cage cross, so that's all taken. They do have to worry about someone's long still. Sick dogs out mid. Sick does that a lot too, where he just, like, dogs out window and cancels it to see if anyone's opping, like, top B or walk down mid. I don't think it's the best use. I think I'd probably rather, well, I'd be running Killjoy, so it'd be different because I'd have the turret for that, but I'd almost rather just sky flash out. I maybe double swing, or if there's no ping, you just don't swing at all, but I think the dog's a lot better value for garage and for A short and stuff like that, or dogging into B. I don't think you want to use the dog super short range in the map for areas that you can take easier.
It's disciplined. Draft from tens. I think he did spot Soms. I can't believe he's still holding down this angle, but he's got the dash available to him, and he's collected a pick.
Group B looks so strong compared to Group A.
What are you doing? Swing that.
I don't know. I feel like, actually, it's hard to say. I don't know. I think both groups have pretty stacked teams.
Hayes is on the flank. There's still a trip there that Dapper controls. This knife would be huge. It does catch Dapper, and it's going to allow Hayes to go for this flank if he is proactive about it. Yep, manages to sneak through. But
Pretty sure Hayes just gets owned by tens here.
I mean, he has to find a ridiculous timing here. And okay, can't punish that one.
Some giveth and some taketh away. Because you're right, the pushes over towards A long have the dash when jumping away.
Assumes that Sick wasn't pushed.
Exactly.
I think even though they have KO over Sky, I still don't think the stall on this map allows you to do much.
Ridiculous entry. He's 21 and 15 at the moment, and has been the main.
I just don't feel like there's a lot they can combo off each other in these site setups that they do, compared to, like, Killjoy Astra. I think even Sky, you can combo some of the stuff pretty well.
A lot of people talking mainly about his raise play, but the guy's a born competitor. Super skilled.
Yeah. So another thing that was brought up quite a lot was Ten's ability to perform in elimination matches, in the final map of elimination matches. I mean, this isn't an elimination map. It's a group stage.
Where do you think Killjoy works best on attacking this map? I'll talk about after this round.
Contacting.
Yeah, this was the round where Sick, like, I wasn't sure why they went so hard, because they're just trying to contact in here, right, because they have a read.
A lot of people talk. He was the
See if you can explain why they have a read or not.
Force of Sentinels to get into these rounds. At the moment, Tens has slowly been putting up some ridiculous.
Okay, dart top short. They kind of do like, okay, now they flash mid, kind of like I was talking about.
Some ridiculous entry.
They did kind of slow swing it, but
and has been the main punching force of Sentinels to get into these rounds.
yeah. So no noise at A. They came long, so that's clear.
off the back of it. I mean, he was the focal point of his play, but
Yeah, and then they just walk in off those two factors. That top short was clear and long was clear. But yeah, then the Sick. The whole point of contacting is that you've caught him off, and he's trying to really figure out how much info there is, like how close they are, but
holding on to his utility.
There's simply no need. You guys have already got the A site, and you're trying to overpush into an eco round. You guys have.
But yeah, he could definitely chill a lot more.
Contacting.
Or just dog. Like, you don't need a flash and dog
It was. Some didn't even get caught by it. In fact, Sick.
if you're trying to figure out how far back people are.
There's simply no need. You guys
Which doesn't really help you that much besides stalling for people to get into post-plant subs, which are pretty easy to get into anyways.
Drone being used. Might put across that up. Sentinels trying to-
Yo, is it Dirpool or Dirpool? What's up?
The kills. It's going
What'd
away
my
from
ideal
NRG.
comp on Haven be? I still think it's Killjoy, Astra, Sova Jet, Sky.
To the side as the
Chamber, maybe there's an argument for him in there, but
quick defuse, a thrifty round for NRG. What to say, Josh? I think that Sky utility might have come in handy there.
absolutely, or just a
see. I'll talk about the Killjoy attack stuff. So, see who asked this? I think is it Ivan or just, I don't know how to say your name, just tell me how to say it. I'm bad with names. So, most common one, turret mid. Counters this, or not counters, but gives you good info on these two areas. So I like doing that, and then having, depending on where you're defaulting, you can just have an alarm bot on either side. I think it's also pretty good to smoke the cross at A sometimes and put a turret like here, because then, and may like throw a dart in there somewhere too, because just again, get this line, and you get this line if someone re-aggroes, which is pretty strong. Also kind of just like turreting in different spots, and then if you have Sky, you can flash off that info. So like if you have this turret here, if let's say you have like a Sky in window with a jet and you're just playing an anti-eco round, wait for this turret to pop, and then you just flash off that, and then you fight mid. But I think most of the time you're going to be using your stuff to just, you know, hold the areas of the map that you're not using. I also think Killjoy is pretty good because you can molly like this to clear this corner. You can molly like this to clear this corner. Like this to clear like this close angle, but that one's not as good. But being able to molly on the opposite side and people can't break it's pretty strong. I'm trying to think, there's probably one other molly spot. Guess you could do it like this too to try to get this guy off this close angle, but Ivan, gotcha. But yeah, I think Killjoy is pretty accessible for attack. More so than Chamber, at least. Chamber just becomes like, you either have to set him up or become a flank holder. I think you can be pretty active on Killjoy on this map.
do not play that situation particularly well. Sick here.
Well, I think people say Chamber's better than Killjoy.
Looking for that. That's the kind of play you go for.
He's kind of like the new thing, more fragging power for Sentinel. His alarm bots are a little bit more OP because infinite range, huge slow radius,
And some feasts.
the ability to try to play for one and TP out on his site.
When you least expected, I think, with NRG.
Okay, Sam's got the op at A. They have a slow bot here, so he doesn't have to worry about a short, though kinda does because it's not deep placed. I know, like, we always ran a sub where you like alarm bot here or something so the opper doesn't have to worry about that ahead of time, but
Early draft.
So dangerous.
Yeah, truly are. This is a very
because if they go up short or something, they cage this, and if they went up short, he's kind of fucked because they either go all the way up short and he has to stick to long, or he's fighting like a million people on site. And they leave B open, so there's heavy stacked on this side of the map.
They want to try and barrel right through garage. See, the drone was used by Sentinels straight up.
And then Tex
Now we're seeing a This is a
just
very
gets
rapid approach.
caught
You can see the
out
drone
of
was used by
position.
Sentinels straight up.
He's trying, I don't know what he's trying to do, honestly, if he's trying to get behind the box or what.
Used by Sentinels straight up to C. And now we're seeing the Seekers. They want to try and barrel right through garage. Gonna find 2 kills off the back. Now we're seeing the Seekers. They want to try and barrel right through garage.
That's one of the things I thought with NRG, that they were trying to peek like out of their setups, it seemed like. Like they were stacked in the right places ahead of time and they had good info, but people would just get nervous or like get a little bit antsy and then they would peek ahead of time.
The round that you expect from Sentinels. Playing together, pack mentality.
What's up, Riv?
For each other. Pushing with a lot of confidence.
Just the fundamentals.
Would I ever personally put a player on Reyna?
Really just showcase.
Yeah, and so
I mean, we did it with
NRG are
Vic
thriving in
on
situations
Ascent at one point,
against Sentinels.
Yeah.
and I think we tried it on Icebox at one point, but I think
Those situations.
if you're wanting to be a top level team, I think if you can teach a really good player mechanically, I think Vic's like a really smart player with how he uses his util too. I would rather have him on an agent with util that he can use intelligently, because he's going to get consistent value out of that util match to match, whereas if you have a slightly off day on Reyna, then it kind of just fucks everything up, right?
You're creeping closer and closer to being able to tie the series up
Because at that point, then you're just trying to create space as an entry or something like that to make up for that lost value of util.
set up a massive economy for themselves. And
I also don't think it's healthy that
about Dapper just getting
Reyna basically promotes you to take tons of fights
tens and sick of
to provide value, which most of the time is going to be early round.
he's
And if you're already having a bad game, I think trying to pigeonhole yourself into taking more and more fights earlier and earlier is just like a recipe for disaster.
Flashes helping them to get onto angles, the dog putting pressure on the site defenders as well. So overall, it's been a decent showing for Sentinels, but it's not over yet.
But yeah, I don't think I would put Reyna in any comps, probably.
With how back and forth this has been.
With the timeout of NRG, I think going to be focusing on where they can probably set up some for success with this operator that he's still holding on to. Rifles in hand for the
I think we
rest of
could
them.
definitely see Raze on Ascent
Whatever
if
strategy they've been cooking up in
Jet
that
got
timeout,
nerfed more. I think Raze is really good on Ascent. There's a lot of different stuff you can do with her, but Jet's just really powerful on that map. I still think you could get by with playing Raze, though.
Some really does
I'm
feel
glad
like
we're shifting back to Raze on Bind and Split and stuff, though.
Ability on Som just holding down A in the early round with his operator. Like normally teams will try and hold the Sova and the Jet towards A.
Raze, Sky, KO, Viper, and Astra are a good comp for Split.
I love that.
Who is playing towards A lobby there?
Yeah.
Tex throwing that one all the way from back garage, so you know he's not exposed.
The only thing with that comp is you'd have to be really proactive, like 24/7, because you don't have a Sentinel.
Get players to be coming out of the scene. I mean, this guy's just
Split almost feels like a map where you want like 3 hard anchors
hell of a personality. And
between like a
Astra
Sentinel, Viper, and Astra, or maybe like
rotating into A long.
Astra, Sage, and something else.
The
But
smokes are now starting to get
sup,
popped.
Hamster?
Run's gonna get taken out. Was a tag there
A
on
map
Som.
where I'd like to run double duelist? Probably not anymore. I think the initiators are too strong.
Bad position, the spam. If you ping it, seem to be aware that he could be hiding in this smoke.
He's in heaven. I mean, he just went for the plant. He goes for a single shot.
Let's rewind back a bit because I wasn't paying attention for any of this.
But that's so on Som just holding down A in the
Yeah, there's kind of this like same A fake kind of setup where they're caging,
so that you at
see
least
the
have
long
a
info,
towards
dart.
A lobby. But that knife gives them the info.
I love
on
that.
Who is playing towards A lobby there?
Yeah.
That knife gives the Jet towards A, so that you at least have a operator.
Knife only scans 2 though. They should know the Sova's close because he darted top short, so there's 3 there. Cypher, Sova, Sky.
Gives them the info.
I love that.
Who is playing towards A lobby there?
Yeah.
These guys are pushing down C.
So, you know, he's not exposed.
Get the info A. Nice pick. Falls off.
Yeah, Som always good for it.
I think they should adjust this alarm bot setup. I think you could really
I mean, this guy's just explosive. Anybody who's
hard
watched
expose
this
that after VODs though. I'd like to see him place it deeper in the short.
Sentinels just contact
Even though
him
Android
off.
can't be on our side as map
And he plays
of the map is
out,
fast
smokes
enough,
now
but
start to get popped. Run's gonna get taken out. Was a tag there onto Som, and he's happy to just bunny hop all up and around the staircase. And Dapper's worked himself up into
And
a
then,
bad position.
Android was pushed up long. Hayes was playing the box so he could play with Android, or if they come up garage, he could try to get one, fall off. Tex was just holding for garage push from window. This was still alarm bot.
I mean, he just went for the plant. He goes for a single shock dart to deny the plant, but nothing.
Knife clears hell and close here. Or not clears, but tells you someone's there.
Fast retake.
Pull the dart, the nade. It's a bit disjointed, but
Oh,
look at
that's
the
so
That was a really nice util combo too.
Able to find so much damage off the back of it. Sentinels desperate to hold this one down with the rifles in hand, but the smokes are getting in their way desperately now. Shazam pushes forwards. He knows he's being flanked, but it's too much to ask for, even for him. Try and take them out. The spacing was immaculate from NRG there as they swung into him holding that short angle. We did a fuse, and again,
I'd have to bet Sentinels really like the double cage stuff at A cross and leaving a cam for Dapper, which is why they run him more over Killjoy, but I could be wrong. They just really like him on defense.
2 rounds away from being, I mean, 0-1 in the group stage. Look at that overhead view. It's so good.
I'm always interested in seeing Dapper play more stuff though, because I'm always keen to see what he fucking cooks up on all these agents, like him and Nats.
Go for that retake. A really crucial factor that they've been relying on to get the A retakes working. There's the knife again.
Flash down short, cam long.
Playing A lobby. You don't know if he's played close to short because he has been taking that space pretty often. But NRG are going for the hard read that this is going to be a C hit. I don't know what the tell is here. Perhaps the fact that Shaz has his ult.
Free drone A. Sick as dog. Like to see him made dog garage here. Really mess with the defenders' heads on what's happening. Because if some here's this guy droning short, and then they dog garage, they get kind of frozen most likely. Flash. Some repost here, sees nothing. Pretty heavy gamble though. That is just like looking at all this, trying to figure out what's going on. They peek long. No, he's held the passive angle, so.
I think this is a good read, Bren. It looks like Sentinels are grouping up and going over towards C.
Most teams are going to be dissuaded about that stack over towards C that NRG are doing right now. As soon as they see, or at least hear that drone clearing through short, the early pressure being applied to it, but no.
Yeah, and then Sam's probably calling that there's nothing happening after the drone or anything like that.
Could get some work done here. Now the dog's being played. Yeah, this is the combo of the util. Okay, that's going to be the Hunter's Fury to push them through. The dog doesn't quite stretch into the back of the combo of the util.
Okay, first, I need to check this, because I'm pretty sure Android's TP got broken by ult, right? Yeah. That was kind of rough, because I remember when I was watching this live, I couldn't figure out why he was just stuck here, but...
He could get some work done here. Now the position. He could get some work done here. Someone's on position. He could get some work done here. Now the dog's being played. Yeah, this is the
I think they're trying to just play off the fact that, like, baiting they would get out of sight and then Android would try to get one and they would retake, but I think they could just stack the shit out of this, probably. Like, they had such a good read, even though it was a little bit of a gamble from Som. But yeah, they just didn't fully commit to the stack ahead of time. I think I get what they're going for with, like, the bait setup. You TP out, you just play 5v4 retake, but... Sentinels just love... Before, when they ran Phoenix, and they still do this with Sky, if they have Sky ult or Sova ult, they love just, like, droning up C and hitting it. Like, with the C split or just a straight C long hit.
Cleans it up in the end, swings out, I believe, from the garage area there, that connector, and is able to just essentially put his foot down, and now we're seeing match point for Sentinels, Josh. 12-11.
My team's running KO over Sky. I think depending on the map, it's really good. Stopping power, you can disrupt, like, certain annoying agents like Astra, Viper, Cypher, something like that, right? Or Killjoy. So that's pretty good. You can run a lot of cheese rounds off of it with KO ult, because you could just literally shut down an entire setup, like any counter util, and just run like a heavy split. So it kind of, depending on how you do it, can enable you to play a lot faster.
The knife, finding information that Sick and Dapper are in there. The knife, finding information that Sick and Dapper are in there. And the recon dart as well. So this time they know that EU is...
Surprised EU got orb here. Has to worry. They're not really worried about short either, even though they saw people cross. Kind of just a lapse in judgment, I think, because they did see one cross. Stopping power, yeah, like his molly, his flashes, his knife can all disrupt to hit on sight. Oh yeah, and then Tens fucking did that, I remember now. Yeah, but EU should have known that they're in like a bad setup, and he either had to commit to fighting long with Som or they're just taking 1vx's because they're separated.
Whether the AB connector is free. He does have 4 stars to be able to work with.
Yeah, that was a tense moment.
So good here.
He's got to meticulously clear it. But how does he take out these players? He has the stun. Ten's just jump peeking with the knives. No, he can collect it. He knows it's a player graffiti, but a crossfire. That's immaculate.
Well, that is that. So, yeah, I'm still not super sold on either of these comps, really. I think Sentinels could play their comp to their strengths a bit better. I still just think the hard rotating thing is still getting them kind of antied in a lot of these matches. I think a lot of teams have kind of exposed them for that when their defensive haven used to be like the best in the world, at least I thought. And I don't know, I thought NRG and their defense were stacked in the right places a lot of the time, but they felt really uncomfortable in the setups, or maybe they aren't fully fleshed out on what type of subs they want to get into when they're stacked. Because I think the one thing with Haven is you focus so much about the early rounds and kind of like the rotates, like I said, you kind of forget about like the site setup part a lot of the time, I feel like, when I watch teams. So maybe that's something they'll have fleshed out, but it seemed like they always had like 3 or 4 people literally in the same site that they were going to hit. They just couldn't make it work. Yeah, I thought, what's up, Ewok? I thought NRG looked like the better team for most of this map until it came down to like really late round scenarios, but I definitely think they could have swung this either way on a lot of these rounds. There's some pretty big late rounds that they lost, but then looked more comfortable. Yeah, I mean, they've been playing that way for like a fucking year at least, so 10's always pops on that map too. I've never seen 10's have a bad attacking half on Haven. He just gets a million of entries. What's up, Kigo? I guess we can do just some questions on whatever you guys want to talk about for a little bit. I tried to play Val earlier, and I don't know if it's a new update or if it's my computer, but things just feel laggy as shit when I was playing. Also, I played Deathmatch, and the new Deathmatch feels worse than the old one, which I'm not sure of how they did that, but they managed it. Where do babies come from? Riv is mega horny, bro. Is 10's Raze bad or 10 or Sentinel's bad? Sign him up. At least when I watched his raise, it looked like he didn't know what to do with his util, or he would take it out at the wrong times. So maybe even though they went over, like, oh, you should nade this, you should boombot this, it felt like there was a lot of times where he was just like peeking with his nade out because he was so focused on using that piece of util, which isn't really an issue with the other agents, right? And I think it's forever ago, but I felt like he had that issue in CS2 with like timing his util, which is a pretty big skill set to learn. So meta snooker. Up Swizzle. Yeah, the respawn time is less and the spawn, like basically what happened when I was in Deathmatch was like I would spawn and literally like half a second later someone would spawn right behind me. Does anyone have a more cohesive defense than C9 on a map? I used to think Envy's defense on Ascent Haven. What else was there? Ascent Haven. I think those two they were probably better at. There's another team that I'm trying to think of that has a really good defense though. I thought the guard looked pretty good on Haven defense so far. But limited sample size, so. Am I liking the format? I think it's interesting, but I think it's going to get boring after this week, especially because these are like the juicer matchups this weekend. And then I think it's going to kind of taper off, but we'll see. Which map has been the least figured out? I think Fracture and Icebox probably. I know people think it's figured out, but I don't think it's really figured out at all. What I think 100 Thieves' problem is, I mean, I don't know if I can judge that like they have a glaring problem yet, but it still feels like they have the same, the roles are the same, so it feels like it's still Ethan and Austin are the only people entering the site half the time because people are either really far back or lurking or throwing utils, so. Play KO or the Sky for Sen. I mean, I don't think they'll play Ascent much because they never like playing Ascent. Breeze, maybe we'd see it, but Sick was also one of the first people to play Sky on that map, so. Except Breeze comp, they play like what? Chamber, KO. Oh, I know they switched to the Astra show, that's right. I think Astra's really good. The only issue I see is you have to be really active on your defense and cover your gaps because no Sentinels, so I think Chamber's really, really sick on Breeze though for everything that he can do, so. Thought Baby J would solve that. Yeah, but the issue is he's the Sentinel. If he was on a different role, but you're not going to switch him to a different role like for no reason like that. I think Hiko still needs to be like a bit more aggressive and be going in with the team since Eccles is playing smokes and he's going to be in Astral form and you're going to want like some type of lurker, which is normally your Sentinel, so. And that Fortnite guy made a video on it, yeah. Yeah, the matches this weekend are pretty good. There's some after that are good as well, but like, I'm excited for X at C9, 100 Thieves Guard should be good. V1 Rise should be really good. NRG Optic should be really good, so. First day is kind of meh, but the second days are pretty good. Baby J now Silva, he could play Sentinel. I mean, I just don't think at that point you're kind of lost if you're reaching for that for them. That's something they should have solved during the off season. But yeah, so we'll be co-streaming Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday maybe we'll get off early depending if the match quality isn't that good. But Saturday, Sunday we'll stream all of them because all of these will be really good. Not sure who's all going to be around. If Wyatt and those guys will be around or which day Bren and Josh are casting, but try to get people on. I worked with Psycho. I haven't worked with him, but we've talked about different concepts before. I just talked about teams or just whatever Valorant related or coaching related. I like Don. Good guy. I think he's probably also had the most successful tenure in Valorant so far in NA as a coach besides MC and Emmy probably. And the C9 guys now are on the right path. because just like looking at what they've built team wise, like Xset wasn't really anything special when they got signed, and he's just consistently upgrade them with like the best players without spending that much money. So yeah, I watched the Premier League. I haven't been watching as much this year because it sucks with all the COVID cancellations, but yeah, and people think I'm British. Okay, we'll do Preds and then we'll figure out where to send you guys. Let's see. I think LG take this. I think Sentinel should take that unless Scuba just diffs them hard. I think C9 should beat XEP. I'm hoping it's 3 maps. I think V1 should beat Rise, but I think that would also beat 3 maps. I think this is like a really big test for V1 to see what their ceiling looks like, or at least a picture of it. I think Guard upsets 100 Thieves technically, even though Guard's like in the hot seat, but I think depending on map pool, they should beat them. 3 maps as well. NRG Optic, I think Optic should beat them. Let me think about map pool for that. I think that should be 3 maps. NRG kind of have an upper hand though if Optic don't play Fracture still though, because that's just a free ban for them, but yeah, I think there'll be some really good insight this weekend and kind of fleshing out more where we can rank teams, since there's going to be a lot of high level matchups, so that should be pretty fun. Okay, who is live? We gotta hit Sean with the reverse host because Sean always hosts me and I never host Sean, so I'll send you guys to Sean. Let's see. Is he just playing? Yeah, he's on the road to Radiant, so we'll see if he locks Yoru and shit. I said Guard would beat 100 Thieves, I think, at least, but I would classify that as an upset. At least for now. But yeah, so I will see you guys on Friday. I'm gonna try to keep doing this where we like co-stream the matches on the weekend, and then I'll try to pick a map or something that we can talk about during the week, and we'll try to keep going on that cycle. So thank you guys for stopping by, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.